Today we're going to be talking about the 10, no, we're not the 10. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 stages of spiritual awakening. Now this is different from last video, which is talking about the process of awakening and how to actually do it. This is just documenting the struggles and the qualities of each stage that you'll pass through as you're going through the process. So the process is a continual thing that you're doing throughout this whole thing. Now, these are the stages that the process in the last video could get you to, could move you up to. And this 6-stage model is based off of the 10 ox herding photos of Zen Buddhism, which is a model developed by a Zen monk, Buddhist monk in the 13th century. And it has different pictures of finding the ox. It's a metaphor for enlightenment, finding enlightenment. So starting from not even knowing that the ox exists, not even knowing that something, a state of enlightenment and awakening is possible, going up the stages up to complete and utter enlightenment, or what I like to call it, awakening. Let's start with stage 1. Stage 1 is when you are completely asleep. If this is completely awake, this is completely asleep. This is where you are not even aware that awakening is possible, that something greater, that greater consciousness is able to be accessed. Not even on your radar at this stage. This is 99% of people, 98, maybe 97% of people, if we're being generous, are completely asleep. No idea what awakening is. No, they don't care. They're just living their lives. They want money, they want pleasure, they want sex, they want porn. They don't care about anything except for their own lives. And they think that once it's done, and it's just black void on the other side. So this is stage 1, which is asleep. And eventually, people will move up to stage 2, which is curiosity. And in spiritual curiosity, you maybe are learning about spiritual topics like awakening, like enlightenment. Maybe you're meditating and you find that it makes you feel really good, and that makes you want to learn more about Buddhist philosophy. And oh, wait a minute, some of the Buddhist philosophy out there kind of has some crazy stuff in it about reincarnation, about a greater reality. Especially Tibetan Buddhism has some crazy spiritual topics that you would never even know about. And maybe in stage 2, you're starting to dip your toe in the water and it's getting you a little bit excited for the possibility of something more. And with enough desire, you'll start to do practices and techniques and learn philosophies that may just give you your very first awakening. I like to call this stage glimpsing awakening. This is where you just for a moment, just for a couple of seconds, maybe even a minute, you have some sort of awakening. You enter into some sort of greater conscious state. Maybe you're meditating and you just see reality a little bit differently. Like, let's say you're meditating and you kind of are so deep in the meditation that all of a sudden you start to detach from your body. And you're like, holy crap, what is this? Your eyes have now shot open to see the truth, the non-dual reality of what's happening here. And a lot of times what happens is that this only lasts a couple of seconds, or maybe even just a second. And it's so different from anything that you could have imagined it to be like, that reality could be like, that you instantly revert back to your separate ego self, a sleep self. And you are all of a sudden like, holy crap, there's more here. What's going on? This is crazy. Maybe it scares you a little bit, but ultimately what this stage does is that it fuels a fire. It ignites a passion in you that now you have some sort of evidence and proof that awakening is actually real. And you now have firsthand experience, given maybe only a couple of seconds, to validate going further onto this path. And this is where you lead into stage 4, which is where you want more of this spiritual awakening. And it leads to stage 4, which is called growth and plateau. So growth and plateau, this is a stage of spiritual awakening where you're in a trial and error phase. You're trying new techniques, you're passionate about this, so now you're trying new things, you're learning, you're growing, and every once in a while something will hit you and you'll have a new awakening, a new insight that just is like profound. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. And fuels the fire that was in stage 3. But then you kind of hit these plateaus of, how do I continue this? I don't know how to access these states more frequently. I'm confused about what this even means. And you hit a plateau and maybe you won't have any spiritual growth or anything for weeks or months or years. And you're just frustrated because you want to keep going up. And eventually you have another one out of nowhere, something hits you and you're like, oh my gosh, infinite love. Oh my gosh, I am God. There's all these different crazy kinds of awakenings you can have. And you have another one, oh my gosh, and then you plateau because you don't know how to actually work with this spiritual stuff. And so you plateau for a couple of weeks and you just keep going up and plateau, up and plateau. And eventually, once you have enough of these, you start to kind of see the game. You start to see things for as they really are, and you start to get consistent. And eventually, these plateaus will start to just kind of go up. It'll start to even out on an even incline up. And that is where we get to stage 5, which is integration. So all of these different awakenings that you're having throughout stage 4 are going to then be used and brought into your daily life in stage 5. And this is where life becomes easy. This is maybe not easy, but it becomes enjoyable and pleasurable on the day-to-day. You see divinity in everything. Everything becomes your spiritual practice. Going to work becomes your spiritual practice. Your annoying neighbor or roommate becomes your spiritual practice because you've had enough of these that you see the spiritual in everything. These awakenings are opening you up to see spirituality and joy and God and consciousness and everything. And you're integrating, so it's called the integration stage. I should have talked about that before I started talking about it. But stage 5 is where you're integrating all of these different awakenings that you're having into your daily life, and you're becoming just more divine in the ordinary life. And the ordinary starts to shift into something greater, into something more divine. And you're almost able to see you're almost able to get these glimpses of awakening kind of whenever you want to at this stage, because you've had enough of these that you can kind of get yourself into the frame of mind to see the perspective of the awakened state, or whatever awakening you had. You can kind of tune into that frequency on command, given the situation and what you're trying to feel and be like in that moment. And eventually, as we're going up, we get to stage 6, and this is transcendence. Stage 6 is about completely detaching your sense of self, but at the same time becoming more deeply ingrained in the universe, in consciousness. So you're simultaneously detaching, but becoming more deeply enthralled with it. And this is where it's called transcendence, because you're transcending your sense of self. You're killing your own identity, and you're seeing things from the non-dual, as the Buddhists like to say, the non-dual state, where there is no separation, there is no you, me, there is no good, bad. Everything is perfect and whole. And it not only do you know that as a philosophy, but in stage 6, you live it as an experience. You feel the non-dual state on command, basically. And you're able to live in love indefinitely, infinitely. And you are completely at peace and in oneness with everything. And this is the goal. This is the goal of enlightenment and awakening. And this is where people like Ram Dass are, one of my favorite spiritual teachers. Eckhart Tolle, I'm not sure if he ever reached this full one. I think he probably did. Great Buddhist masters of history. Jesus Christ absolutely stage 6 individual. And I mean, I think if you're meant to in this lifetime, I think that you can achieve stage 6 in this life. I think you can if you're meant for it and you have enough tenacity and you want that and it is planned out for your life to attain enlightenment and awakening, then I would say it's possible. And if you want to see what stage of these 6 stages that you are in, you can take the quiz in the description below to find out definitively what stage you're in and to help you figure out what stage is next and what your limitations are in each stage, the problems, and then how to transcend those problems to get to the next stage. And that has been the video for today. I hope that it was helpful. And if you liked it, go ahead and like this video. And if you want more content like this to help enlighten and awaken your life, subscribe for more content like this.